Hello, my friends. Welcome to another... No, that's not how I open my reading vlogs. Hello, my lovely friends. It's Margaret, and this is a reading vlog. Okay, hi. We are reading books. Today, I'm missing one. We gotta appreciate the fact that I am, in fact, consistent with the fact that I never have anything together. So, we are continuing from the last vlog, the whole Margaret needs to finish all the books she started thing before she starts any new ones, despite the fact that I have 2 books that I definitely need to touch. Hopefully this week. Maybe next week? I don't know. I don't have time for reading anymore. It's fun. I'm still doing my insurance course guide. Let's talk about what we are currently working on. I have 3 physical reads that I am working on. I have got an audiobook that I am working on. We'll start with the audiobook because that's what I've actually been reading today. Today is it's Monday, June 14th. There we go. Okay, we're on page 362 of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think I mentioned in my last vlog, the beginning of this book was a little bit rocky because I didn't care about Blomkvist's storyline at all at the beginning. Because I was just like, okay, we're talking about, I'm like, oh, some journalist guy, okay, but we're following a journalist named Mikhail Blomkvist. You'd think I would know how to pronounce this. And then a woman named Elizabeth Salander. She is an investigator. And so Mikhail has been hired to investigate this death of this girl, Harriet Wenger, who was killed many years ago. And her grandfather, her uncle, someone who cared about her more than her parents did, is wanting to kind of dig into the mystery of her disappearance one more time, see if he can get answers. I have a sneaking suspicion that the tattooed punk prodigy that is the other protagonist may end up being Harriet Wenger. I could be very wrong, though, but if I were the one writing it, because I like certain things, I would. Elizabeth was hired to investigate Mikhail before he was hired by the Wenger. Henrik Wenger, I guess is the dude's name. So rocky start at the beginning. Now that I've gotten towards like I think chapter 2 was when we finally grabbed me where we got to Elizabeth. Now I'm invested. I'm interested. I want to know what happened to this girl. I've hung on that long. I need to know, did she die? What happened? Where did she go? Anyways, these two are going to end up teaming up to solve this mystery. I'm interested, I'm invested. I literally got on to, when I find rep that matches anything that I know specific friends are looking for, I, try and pass that on. So I got on and I was like, hey, one of these characters is in kind of an open relationship. Well, I guess it's more an open relationship than a polyamorous one, but they're in kind of an open relationship because I know you like reading about that. And then the other one, literally was talking about how she sees attraction and, basically it's the definition of pansexual. And then what was the other thing? Oh, I was gonna say this definitely was written by a dude because they're talking about Blomkvist curled up in bed with one of his lovers, and it specifically points out that he has his arm wrapped around her right underneath her breasts, and I'm just like, only a man would think that needed to be pointed out. You could have just said they were curled up in bed together. You could have. One that I am furthest in is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I don't know why I didn't try to take this to work because I need to finish it. I am on page 438. I was buddy reading this and then I paused so that my buddy could catch up, and then we just kind of, life happened. So I'm just gonna finish it. I'm gonna get done with this and we're gonna continue on with this and it'll be fine. And then I'm also trying to finish, I'm on page 88 of I'm Still Here by Austin Channing Brown. This was what I took with me to work to see if I could finish it, but I think I might try that because I'm not in a nonfiction mood right now. So, and then the one that I have the least amount in is I'm in chapter 2 or 3 of Heroes Adrift by Maura J. Moore. Hopefully I will also get a chance to finish this week. So I do need to read This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal El-Mutar. This is the Avengers book of the month for our reading challenge that we've been doing this year. I'll be happy when the year is over. There's just so much involved and so much drama. And then I also would like to continue on in my Grishaverse read-along and start Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I will not lie, this is like 80% because I want to reread the Six of Crows duology and like tab the heck out of those books. But also, like a good 20% is because I'm actually really enjoying this reread. The quality of my experience this time, because it's not, I don't have those Crows tinted glasses, the quality of my experience is much richer this time around. So I don't really have a lot of time before I need to be in my meeting for the July Avengers Initiative reading stuff. I have made very little progress in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Not sure how I feel about the relationship, the way that certain characters are observing this new and budding relationship between Elizabeth and Mikhail. Just because, like, I think he's way older than she is. So I could be wrong, but he's like married with a kid, and like the reason I'm here to talk is I'm Still Here by Austin Channing Brown. I read about 20 pages while I was on my lunch break at work. I don't know that enjoying is the right word, but it is really making, like, yeah, it isn't the right word, but it's a challenging book, I guess, is a better way to describe it. It is intellectually challenging me to sit back and think on my own behavior and the things that I've done. And at the same time, I'm also recognizing some of the behavior, not necessarily all of it, and not necessarily like, but like I can definitely, like, she'll explain these situations and I'll be like, yeah, I can see, like, I understand not the thought process, but I've seen that thought process. It is in evangelical spaces. One of the things that she says, this is on page 89, she goes, "This is partly what makes the fragility of whiteness so damn dangerous. It ignores the personhood of people of color and instead makes the feelings of whiteness the most important thing." And then she goes down, continues on a little bit further down the page, like a sentence later. "If black people are dying in the street, we must consult the white feelings before naming the evils of police brutality. If white family members are being racist, we must take grandpa's feelings into account before we proclaim our objections to such speech. If an organization's policies are discriminatory and harmful, that can only be corrected if we can ensure white people won't feel bad about the change. White fragility protects whiteness and forces black people to fend for themselves." And then she had another one. This is page 108, chapter 7, which is Nice White People. I just started this chapter before I had to come back from my break. "When you believe niceness disproves the presence of racism, it's easy to start believing bigotry is rare, and that the label racist should be applied only to mean-spirited, intentional acts of discrimination. The problem with this framework, besides being a gross misunderstanding of how racism operates in systems and structures enabled by nice people, is that it obligates me to be nice in return rather than being truthful." And then on the second page, in 102, it says, "Even more, if most white people are good, innocent, lovely folks who are just angry or scared or ignorant, it naturally follows that whatever racial tensions arise, I must be the problem." So I just, like, she has a lot of wisdom, and she has a lot of experiences that make me angry. I need to go see if we've got the link for the meeting, and if not, I'm gonna edit some more of the video. I have one clip left, and we're done with this video. It can go up on the internet, except it can't because it has to be scheduled for tomorrow. Hello, it is Wednesday the 16th. You would think that I spend all day, like, looking at dates, but you know, do I pay attention to what those dates are? No. Okay, so, anyways, update. I was just listening to some more of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. Still enjoying it. Like, still mostly wanting to know what happened. And I'm kind of getting a little annoyed that there is just so much book. I would like for this to be a little bit shorter, honestly, if I'm totally honest. More answers, less mystery. And then I also finally picked up City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty last night. I have some feelings about stuff that just happened, and where I think the story is going I'm not opposed to the other ship. I could even get behind that, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know that this is gonna, I don't know that I'm gonna continue on past this book. It's really good. Like, it's really good. I'm just like, but I like the other ship better at the moment. Although some stuff has happened, and I'm like, sir, maybe no. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe I'll finish it, because I'm here. This is where I am. So maybe I'll finish it tonight and be able to move on with my life. And then we did also make quite a bit of progress in I'm Still Here. I think I read another, like, 20 pages. I got through chapters 7 and 8. I think I might have highlighted some other stuff. Let me see. So here's a good quote. If my feelings do not fit the narrative of white innocence and goodness, the burden of change gets placed on me. And that's in reference to one of the quotes I actually read yesterday. Like, I stopped at the bottom of that, the top of that paragraph, where she's talking about, like, white people feel like they are inherently good and obviously not racist unless they are not, you know, like, unless they don't think that they're racist, basically. They don't see it, the racism that they've been, you know, raised is basically steeped in, like a good tea. Only a bad tea, because it's got race. Anyways, yeah, and then on 104, it says, she makes the point that sadly, most white people are more worried about being called racist than about whether or not their actions are in fact racist or harmful. Okay, yeah, here's another good one that's at the end of chapter 7 on page 110. It says, white people really want this to be what reconciliation means. A black person forgiving them for one racist sin. Ooh, yes. Our only chance at dismantling racial justice... Nope, sorry, that's wrong. Our only chance at dismantling racial injustice is being more curious about its origins than we are worried about our comfort. I think that's a very apt quote, considering the debate about critical race theory that's been going on. If you haven't been paying attention and you don't know what critical race theory is, first off, don't listen to what the Republicans think it is, because they are twisting that word, and what they actually mean when they say critical race theory, they mean history that makes them uncomfortable. Hi. Hello. It is Thursday. We have finished a book. We have things to talk about. Take a quick minute, try and guess which book we finished. Just try and guess which book it was, because I was towards the end of 2 yesterday. Anyways, it was not The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I have 140 something pages to go still in this book, which is, you know, not terrible. So we had a twist happen, and I'm real, like we got answers, but not all of them. And the fact that we didn't get all of the answers is slightly concerning. Like, not in a, like, obviously we have 140 pages. There's plenty of time for the plot to be finished. But, like, in a, like, you're concerned for the characters way, not in a, I don't think we're going to wrap this up in the amount of time that we have in this book. We could probably, honestly, wrap this up in 50 pages. Looks like we're not going to, obviously, but we could. So, that's where we are with this. This book has me convinced that I just need to date a Swedish man if I want, like, for all of my life goals to be met. They know how to dress. They know how to treat women. Yeah. Oh, and they have good health care. There's that too. I mean, I would have to go to Sweden to get that health care, but you know, at this point, I'm open. Hopefully, I'll be finishing this well, I'd like to finish this today, because tomorrow I'd like to start a different audiobook, because tomorrow starts the beginning of Queer Blackathon, and also, so there are 2 Blackathon 48-hour readathons that are going on, and one of them is like the 18th and 19th, and one of them is the 19th to the 21st, and I'm not sure which one, but one is by Princess over at Castle Library. I think that, I'm not going to quote dates, and then the other one is by Jessie over at Bowties and Books. I'll talk about that later, another time. I'm pretty sure I know which book I'm going to listen to, but, like, we'll see. I might see what's available at the library as well. This book, like, looks like it's a normal size, but it is, like, it's heavier than this hardcover. Like, it's heavier than this book. What paper are they using? My goodness. Anyways, hi, it's Friday. I am here. I'm gonna rant about something because, oh my goodness, So, for those of you that don't know, where I work, part of my job is coordinating services with the Department of Children and Families, one of their companies. I'm not gonna name any names because I don't want you to be able to find me mostly. Anyways, so this company that we work with, which is it's like a government-run company, from my understanding. My job is to, when they bring in referrals, get things set up so we can take these patients on and start them with therapy or whatever the court-ordered services are. However, that does require us to have certain things in place so that we are making sure we're complying with what's ordered by the court. And I have this one case manager. Most of the case managers, they're a little busy. They don't always get back to me on the when it's convenient for me, but like usually if I email them once or twice, like they'll get back to me. They're doing their best. I understand that they are way, way overworked. I have this one case manager that I have like several cases with that I have been making, like, we're waiting on funding, or like we're waiting on so many things. And so I finally went to my boss and I was like, here's the situation. And she called this case manager's boss's boss. And so the boss's boss called me this morning and is like, so I've been hearing that we're not getting quite as quick responses as we're used to from you. Like, so I was just like, okay, well, when you say you're not getting a fast enough response, what do we mean by response? Because I'm putting it back onto them. Like, I'm trying to figure out how am I responding? Are they asking, am I responding to the minute I get the referral? Are they asking about how long? Turns out it was about one case, and it was about how long it takes them. Like, it's taking us to get to a specific service. So she's sitting there with the case manager calling me, talking to me. And I was just like, oh, I don't recognize that name. And so she gives me the mom's name. And I was like, okay, yeah, I've got that referral. Let me take a look and see. And I double checked, because mental health, you have to have an ROI, a release of information for everything. Like, literally everything. Unless it's a minor and the parent is calling. And I double checked. To be clear, I did my legal duty, made sure that I was able to share this information, and then I was like, oh, well, we did. Like, I walked her through where we were with this patient, and they're like, well, why haven't they started this service? We sent you the referral in April. And I was like, actually, I reached out to y'all in March for this referral, and then I reached out again in April, got the referral, and then I responded. I've got that I replied to that email the next day. Because I was like, and you do it the way, like, let me see. Okay, so it looks like we got this on I sent this on March 8th, and then I checked in again on April 26th, and then turns out the service they were requesting hadn't even been added to the case plan until May. So this case manager is trying to throw me under the bus when she's been having a hard time keeping up. I was just like, I know exactly what's happening. My boss called you your boss, and when your boss came to check in, you tried to blame it on me. And it just was very satisfying to know that my hoarding of emails, just because I don't delete, if it's for a referral from them, if it's for a referral from any kind of, like, a doctor's office, any of that, if they email me, I keep that email. Like, I don't delete it, because the first thing I do when they try to call on it is search someone's name in my inbox. I don't like shaming people in front of their bosses, but I have to admit that it felt really good to have them kind of trying to go in like I was the one that was the problem, and having to turn around and reconsider some things. So it's Friday. We are technically towards, like, we're almost halfway in Princess's Readathon. I have not been able to start yet because I am still reading this book. I didn't listen to any of it last night because it was my brother's last day in town, so I've been listening to it. Holy moly, the way this thing keeps twisting and turning now that we've gotten to the end. Like, we've gotten some answers. I called, like, part of it. I love it when I'm right about these things. Gotten to the end of kind of the main mystery, and now we're wrapping up the situation that got one of our main characters in their situation with the main mystery. I think it's gonna be like a 3-star for me, because, like, it's good. It might be a 4-star, because it's good. I enjoyed it. There have been places where I'm just like, dude wrote this, definitely wrote this. I do appreciate, like, the level of just, like, there's a lot that you don't see in this book, and I don't think was popular in fiction at the time that this was written, maybe? Do we have, oh, this doesn't have a copyright page. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this was published in 2008. So for 2008, you can definitely tell that this was written by someone who grew up in Europe, because there's just a lot of stuff in here that I don't think you would find if this had been written by an American author. The one thing I do want to mention, I think I talked about earlier in this vlog or the last vlog, that there may be some sort of, not representation, because he's not autistic, or as far as I know, I don't know if the author is autistic. But one of the characters could be read as autistic. The one thing that I'm like, kind of, is that her technical know-how and all of this stuff is kind of almost like a miraculous superpower because of her autism, is kind of how he worded it. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. So there definitely are trigger warnings in this book. Some of them will spoil twists in the plot. In fact, will definitely spoil who did it, or did the thing. But just know that there is a lot of violence against women. That's one of the issues he is talking about and writing about in this novel. I think that's part of what, like that was definitely a huge influence to him in the story. He has a place where it let me see if I can find it. Every time we have a part, it's got like a statistic about violence against women in Sweden. So like this one is for part 1, it's 18% of the women in Sweden have at one time been threatened by a man. There's one that talks about the statistic of intimate partner violence, I think, in Sweden. So like he's definitely driving home a point and trying to confront something in this novel. But just know that, like, there is, if having terrible things happen to animals is a thing for you, specifically cats, don't pick it up. If you are, like, just if any kind of, like, abuse, sexual assault, that kind of stuff, it's in here. Just know that going in. Enough about that. I'm gonna finish it later, like in a few minutes later. But once that's finished, I have my Juneteenth readathon TBR. So this is just mostly like me sitting down and like people were doing some stuff and I decided to participate. Like I said, Princesses is going, I think it was from like midnight today to midnight on Saturday. And then Jessie over at Bow Ties and Books is midnight, like coming up midnight, and then midnight on Sunday. For the Queer Blackathon, specifically that Jessie and Bow Ties and Books is doing, I am reading Sorrow Land by Rivers Solomon. I tried to say Solomon Land. Whoops. All I know is that this is about a woman who is pregnant and she is leaving a cult. I don't need to know anything else. I'm excited. So this is probably going to be my main physical read starting tomorrow and Sunday. I am going to try and finish this between tomorrow and Sunday. This is the only book I'm planning on reading for Queer Blackathon at the moment. There is another book that I want to get, but it's going to depend on whether or not I can get my hands on it or if I have to wait for it to come in the mail. That would be Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury. Plan was to pick it up on the way home at Barnes & Noble and have it to show you and be physically here and read. And then I got to Barnes & Noble and their system's showing that they have 3 and we cannot find a single one. It was so funny because I go to the front. And I know there are probably so many people who do this having not even tried to look. I've gone through the entire store at this point. And so I go, I'm like, so it's saying online that you should have this in stock. I just wanted to check, is that true? And she's like, oh, it should be in the YA fiction section. I can show you where that is. And I'm like, that's literally the first place I go when I walk in this store. And so we get all the way over to the YA fiction section. I just literally go right to where it should be. And I'm like, so I looked here. This is where it should be. It should be right next to Sanderson. And it's not there. And she's like, okay, well, let's look around because sometimes things get moved around. And we looked around, we couldn't find it. And then she's like, I'm going to go make sure it wasn't shelved in the adult sci-fi section. And I'm just like, I did that too. But I didn't want to be like, ma'am, I know your bookstore better than you and you work here. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to let her look because maybe it was misshelved and like, I don't want to be that person that is really super snooty about your job. I have a feeling it might have been in backstock, in the back. So I'm going to see if I can place an online order to pick up in store tomorrow, and if I can do that, then I will pick it up in the store tomorrow. If I don't get to it, it's fine. I'll just order it online. I just want to make sure that I have ordered it in time for like, so that it's within like the first week of sales, because that's the important part. Like, if you really, like, if you can't pre-order, doing it in time for the first week of sales, that's what you want. If I could pre-order and have it picked up at my Barnes & Noble more, like, I would. The other books that we're working on reading, obviously, so I'm gonna work on finishing I'm Still Here. I am like 1 or 2 chapters from the end. I'm gonna finish that tonight, and then I'm planning on starting Sorrowland tomorrow and reading that for most of my Saturday and Sunday. I do need to film and get some stuff done. And then my audiobook is going to be Whispers of Shadow and Flame by El Penelope. This is the sequel to Song of Blood and Stone. I have a fantastic memory, my friends. It's the sequel to, this is going to be such, oh my god, this clip is 15 minutes. I should not have ranted at the beginning, but we're going to go with it. This is primarily a romance series. There is a main couple for every single one of them. It's just set in this fantasy world. It's 2 kingdoms that have been divided for ages and ages. There was a magical veil that separated them because every time this veil kind of goes down, the 2 kingdoms fight, and the one kingdom is trying to overtake the other kingdom, and it's a whole thing. First book kind of got us set up in the world. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars, and I'm just wanting to continue on with this series because I really enjoyed the first book. So I'm gonna read this one. This is about a character that we met at the very end of the last book, and then we have we've known about him for like the entirety of the first book because he was working with the main male protagonist of the first book. That's gonna be my audiobook. Hello, I am gross and sweaty because I just went jogging, but I have some books to talk about, and I'm about to go start another book, so I figured I would just like talk about books. Last night I did finish I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austen Channing Brown. This was so good. You need to read this. Like, just read this. And even if you're not religious, because I know a lot of this is about her journey in the church, but even if you're not religious, the experiences that she is talking about, they're not constrained, that's the word, constrained to the church in and of itself. They're not, it's not just the church. If you are white and you're trying to get an idea of what it is like to be a black person in a mostly white space, definitely read this. If you are a Christian who has any interest whatsoever in racial justice or racial equity or racial equality, you need to read this. It was very good. There are a couple of chapters towards the end where she really does get into the what would Jesus do aspect about it. And as a Christian, those sections spoke to me so much because I was reading about the Jesus that I see in the Bible, if that makes sense. I wasn't reading about the sanitized, like, whitewashed Jesus that is used in a lot of the spaces where I grew. I was reading about a Jesus who, yes, is about forgiveness, but is also about true reconciliation, is about justice. And those are the things I think we lose as Christians when we start trying to talk about, like, where is it? I know she puts this perfectly somewhere in here. Here, in its true form, reconciliation possesses the impossible power of the lion lying down with the lamb, the transformative power of turning swords into plowshares. That spoke to me so much because she's talking about what a lot of white Christians think reconciliation, what they think that racial equality looks like, and it's like having that 20% of their church be non-white so they can say they're multi-ethnic, or having a black pastor on staff, that kind of thing. And that's not how Jesus would approach it. Okay, I'm gonna have to read this whole freaking paragraph, but so she's talking about what the white church thinks reconciliation is. And so she goes, this is why white American churches remain so far from experiencing anything resembling reconciliation. The white church considers power its birthright rather than its curse. And so rather than seeking reconciliation, they stage moments of racial harmony that don't challenge the status quo. They organize worship services where the choirs of 2 racially different churches sing together, or a pastor of a different race preaches a couple of times a year, where they celebrate MLK but don't acknowledge current racial injustices. Acts like these can create beautiful moments of harmony and goodwill, but since they don't change the underlying power structure at the organization, it would be misleading to call them acts of reconciliation. So I like the fact that she's saying these can be things that are beautiful. These moments, acts like these can be beautiful moments, but they're not reconciliation. We're gonna go through the rest of this real quick because we're at 6 minutes and 7 minutes. We're at 7 minutes, and I don't want to have to edit clips forever. So we're gonna be reading. I have gotten to page 75 in Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon. I don't want to say I'm loving it, but I am intrigued. Like, I am invested in this. I am enjoying it, not loving it, because I don't know that there are elements in here that are going to, like, I don't think it's going to have the things that I look for in books that I truly love, and that's, I just don't, I don't know yet if that is going to be where this book goes. There has been some hint at romance, but I don't think that it's going to, I don't know at this point how it's going to pan out and if it's going to remain healthy. However, this is just so, like, twisty and, like, engaging. I know there are going to be people that say that it is too slow and the plot is convoluted and they spend too much time, like, talking about stuff, but, like, I like this writing style. So this is about a woman who runs away at the age of 15 while she is 7 months pregnant and, like, just basically lives out in the woods with her children because she just, like, she's escaped this cult. It's a very back and forth style of writing, and like I said, I'm not, like, we'll be in the present and then we'll get some of Vern's past, and then, like, so, like, you're going back and forth. She's going back and forth between being present and being in the past, and like, and it's all in her thought process. It's very close third person, so it's all in her thought process, and it takes a while to get places. Like, it took, she had twins, and it took, let's see, it took 14 pages between the birth of the first twin and the second twin, and I'm sitting there this entire 14 pages going, she does have twins, right? It says it in the synopsis. I'm confused. Why is she only, so, like, there have been a few, like, labor and child things that I'm kind of like, did we do our research? But that's, like, been the only downside for me, because I don't, like I said, I don't mind. It's not what I would call flowery writing, but some people might call it overwriting. I think it's a specific stylistic, like, it's obviously a specific stylistic choice in this, and I think it's working really well for the story that Rivers is trying to tell. It's fascinating, and I'm just like, you're trying to slowly unravel what's going on, what's happened, because she doesn't give you everything in the first 75 pages. Like, there are still questions that are unanswered, plus we've got this added plot line. So we've got, like, the plot line of the cult and what happened to her in the cult, which she keeps kind of revisiting as she, like, goes through her experiences, or we keep revisiting as we go through her experience living out here in the woods. So, like, there's a whole bunch. And then she also has somebody who is chasing her, trying to hunt her down, that she is trying to hide from. The final bit that you need to know is I'm going to go downstairs. Well, yeah, I've got a couple of things that I need to do while the house, that I want to do while the house is kind of mostly empty, because my mom's at the community garden that she does. And so I would like to, like, get most of my vacuuming and stuff done while she's not here, so she doesn't backseat vacuum. That is a thing, guys. I am going to start listening to Whispers of Shadow and Flame by L. Penelope, because I like to, like, listen to audiobooks or podcasts while I'm doing my chores, if that's the word, while I am working around the house. So that's what I'm going to do while I'm doing that. I apologize if you can hear my air conditioning going, but I live in Florida, so deal with it, because I am not dealing with the heat. We have a little book haul to do. I was going, like I said, I went to pick up, okay, hold on. Let's just, because I've gotten some books over the whole weekend. Yesterday on the way home, because I gotten paid, I decided to stop by one of my local used bookstores, and I picked up 2 books there. I got Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. If you don't know, I absolutely adored this series last year. The last book almost broke me. I almost DNF'd it because I was scared of Libba Bray hurting me like she has in the past, but she didn't. This is a very good historical fiction series. Historical fiction fantasy? It's a good historical fiction series with a little bit of a magic in it. It's the third book in the Diviner's Quartet? The Diviner's series. And then I also have been working on getting the rest of the Darkest Minds series. I have the first book because we got a whole bunch of remainder copies of it at my job when I used to work for the textile recycling company. So I got that one that way, and then took forever to read it and absolutely ended up adoring it. And I have the fourth book, which I haven't read yet, but then they had this. So I was like, oh, I know I want this series, and I've got them in hardcover, so I got them. And then the new books that we went to pick up. I don't know if I'm going to get to this by the end of the weekend, but I got Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury. From what I understand, this is about a girl that in order to preserve her family's magic, she is given a task. Like there's something with like, they're given tasks and it helps their family keep their magic, and her task is she has to kill her first love. And so she decides that what she's going to do is she's going to go on this like dating app that matches you genetically, I think. And find someone that way. And then because I finished I'm Still Here, and it just I was feeling it, I went ahead and I stopped by because I have been waiting to get this book, and I decided just to break and to get it, regardless of when I'm going to read it. But I got Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. I have heard so many good things about this. It's Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women, a Movement for God. This is very much about Black women and feminism. As today's feminist movement has a glaring blind spot, and paradoxically it is women. Mainstream feminists rarely talk about meeting basic needs as a feminist issue, argues Mickey Kendall, but food security, access to quality education, safe neighborhoods, a living wage, and medical care for all families, are all feminist issues. All too often, however, the focus is not on basic survival for the many, but on increasing the privilege for the few. How can we stand in solidarity as a movement, Kendall asks, when there is the distinct likelihood that some women are oppressing others? This is something that I have been very much aware of for a while, partly because I follow Mickey Kendall, and she is probably the first person that brought to my attention the idea of intersectional feminism, which is looking at feminism and seeing how it intersects with other parts of a person's life and other things that they experience. So like seeing like a woman and being disabled, a woman and being Black, a woman and being queer, like that kind of thing. And then because it was there, and it has also been calling to me for months, and my mother got me gas, so I have a little bit extra money in my I have money I don't have to spend from my budget. I got Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. It is the definitive history of racist ideas in America. I have the YA version of this, and I also want to get the middle grade version, just because I like to like read them all and compare and see how he changes it for each audience. But I want to read this. I've been meaning to read it, and so this is going to go on my shelf with a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't have much to say yet about Whispers of Shadow and Flame, because I've been listening to Taylor Swift. And then I went in Target and I was like, okay, here's the deal. We'll listen to Taylor Swift while we're in the car, because that's where you should listen to Taylor Swift. Like, that's just the perfect, like, on the CD, in the car, as you drive. That's how you should listen to Taylor Swift. I just walked. Like, I spent 30 minutes walking around Target trying to remember what the last item on my shopping list is, because I chronically do not write these things down. I walked around Target for like 30 minutes to figure out that I needed shaving cream, and did not listen to my audiobook the entire time. I had my earbud in. I'm gonna blame it on Kara, because Kara distracted me, because we're trying to figure out the Vaultathon book, and I finally figured it out, the Vaultathon book for July. I'm really excited about I had a book that I was like, this is the one I want to use, but I don't know how I feel about using it, because like it fits what I want to do with the story, or what I want to do with prompts, but it's also not like own voices. It's, I guess, like it has disability portrayal, but not disability representation. Long story short, I finally figured out what book we're gonna do, and it is gonna be The Sound of Stars. I've read it, so I know all of the ways that it's gonna fit in with the movie that we're doing for July, which is Hunchback of Notre Dame. I only have 8 minutes left on this memory card, and I have 5 books to talk about, so like, okay, I'm gonna just wrap up Queer Blackathon first before I go to the books that I actually finished. So you saw me work on Saarland by River Solomon and Whispers of Shadow and Flame by L. Penelope. I did not finish them. Let's see, how far did I get? Let's see. We're at page 268 on this one, so I'm at chapter 26. I'm getting ready to go into like the the last third of the book. I am enjoying this. This one is a little bit more like, so the two main characters in this one don't meet until quite a bit into the book. Like, Song of Blood and Bone, that's the name, they meet almost right away, and so it's about the romance the entire time. This one has a little bit more building of the world and the politics right at the front. So if like the world building wasn't your thing when you were reading like Song of Blood and Stone and you wish you'd gotten more of the world building and the politics, then I think you'll like this particular book. I'm going back and forth on this one because there are places where I'm like, yes, I care, especially when we're talking about these two main characters and like one other character. There is a character whose storyline, I understand why it's in there because I'm pretty sure the main character, this character's storyline is introducing us to the main character of the next book. I don't care about this character. It's terrible. I know, but I'm just like, this character could die and I wouldn't care. I'm on page 181 in Saarland. I have had to put this down starting this week, just because, well, number one, it's Wednesday when we're wrapping this up, but that's just another thing. So I'm here. So I'm about the same place, like, percentage-wise as I am in the other book. This is like super weird. If you are squeamish at all, don't read this, because I'm not, and there have been a few places where I'm like, that is a little much for me. This is just so like complicated, and I have no idea what's going on because there are so many moving pieces right now, and I can see that they're about to click together where I am in the story, and we're about to understand what's going on. We just got answers to something, and so I'm just like, I'm ready for it to come together and to get to like the meat of the story and the climax, and like for us to get answers. You're gonna spend a lot of time wanting answers with this. So I'm enjoying it. I am liking it. I wanted to try and finish it, but like as usual, I just apparently don't read during weekend readathon. Okay, now for books that I did finish this week, we got to start with City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I gave this 4 stars. I like the world building. I like the politics. I like the characters. I found something out about the romance that just made me mad. So like I really wanted to give this 3 stars just personal enjoyment wise, but like reading it, I had to admit that it was a 4-star book. If you are not me and you like complex world building and magic systems and stuff like that, if you like deep immersive settings, this will be a good book for you. Just like, if you're like me, don't read it. I don't know. I still haven't made my mind up about whether or not I am going to be picking up book 2, just because like I'm so bitter right now. The next book that I finish is I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. This is a very, very good nonfiction. It is very short, but it is packed with just so much to sit and think about and really be introspective about and look at your behavior, specifically if you're like reading this and you're white. Obviously, this wasn't written really for a white audience, I don't think. I think this was mostly written to be in solidarity with other black women who are in mostly white spaces. But doesn't mean that you can't get something out of it. Highly, highly recommend if you are in any sort of religious occupation, if you are religious at all, read this, because it's going to lay out some stuff and it's going to make you look at some things differently. I gave that 5 stars because it was very, very good. And then I gave this 3 stars, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Stieg Larsson. This wasn't anything special, but it was still entertaining. It was still a good read. It did drag a bit at the beginning. It was so deliciously frustrating because you would get answers and the answers would lead to more questions. It does have you invested in what's going on. It does have a satisfying conclusion. Like, I really did like this book, and I actually think I may pick up the rest of the series to go on with that, but it was also very much written by a dude, so just be aware of that. It doesn't show a lot, but it does show in a couple of places. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video and you would like to support my channel, feel free to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, or check out some of the videos that I am going to have over here. Maybe you'll like one of those. Maybe it's something that you missed. I don't know. there will be videos over here. They will be a surprise to both of us. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!